Yo, good morning, my DGens. What's going on? Whew, good morning. All right, let's go right into the Jasmy chart, guys. Now, listen, I want to show you something, okay? I want to show you something here because I did a live stream last night, and in said live stream, I looked at the Jasmy chart and the Bitcoin chart. So I want to play for you what I said. Let's have a look at what I said, okay? All right, so guys, if you have been following me, I told you guys over the last 2 days that we would likely come back down inside this buy zone, maybe double bottom, maybe. We didn't quite get down to this bottom, but it's pretty close to a double bottom, right? And we're wicking back up now to exit this buy zone. Now, I think probably by the time this daily candle closes tomorrow, I think this candle is going to be green and we'll be on the outside of it. And the reason that I say that, so did you catch that? Now watch this. Boom. Did I call it or did I call it? Right? And I don't do this to pump my own tires, guys. I do this to show you guys that you have to pay attention to what I'm saying. I'm trying to help you, right? So you have to pay attention to these things. Am I right 100% of the time? Of course not. Nobody is. Nobody is, right? But I have a pretty damn good batting average, right, when it comes to this stuff. So wanted to show you guys that. Also, guys, let's go have a look over at the Bitcoin chart. As we can see, I also said this candle was probably going to close green. It has wicked all the way back up to this level at 70,000. We're just a hair below it at 69.8, but $100 from it. Now, I'm hoping we can get above 70,000 and close the daily candle there today. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so far, so good. Let's go have a look at the monthly, guys. We did have a juicy month. I'll show you the graph later. But yeah, look at this. Look at this bull flag we're forming on the monthly time frame, guys. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And just so that you know, I'll point this out to you guys. Look at this. This is this green candle here. This is October's candle. Okay. We closed October nicely green on the breakout of this bull flag on the monthly time frame, guys. This month here, this is November's candle, this little spinning top candle right now, this red one. We're probably going to, we could come down and retest this trend line. We may not quite come down that far, but we could, right? Either way, to retest it as support before liftoff. That would be a very good confirmation if we do that, or we may just go. Either way, guys, we are breaking out of this bull flag on the monthly time frame for Bitcoin, and that only means amazing things for the altcoins. So hopefully you guys are excited. Let's go have a look at the crypto bubbles. So we did a little bit of a swing trade yesterday over on the Patreon. Somebody wanted to get into Helium Mobile, so they scooped some up. I can't remember who it was over on the Patreon directly, but congratulations on your pickup last night, my friend. Fantastic move. Swift having a bit of a correction after having a fantastic week. Swift was up yesterday like 35%. Fantastic return on Swift. So yeah, we'll just kind of play it out, guys. Tonight we'll be live streaming the daily close. We'll see what happens. XCN, Onyx Coin, guys. Just so you know, on Sunday, Wes and I will be live streaming an XCN live stream. We got some big news, some big stuff to talk about there. So make sure you guys are here for that. Got some blood in the streets today, guys. A little bit of a DCA opportunity across the board. I will get to the chat after I'm done the news, guys. So I'm not ignoring you. Pith is a nice pickup. GFAL, Aptos, Wagami Games, guys, Taraxa, Forta, Suku, some good opportunities. Cardano is running against the market right now. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. Jasmy Hooligan says, you were fooled into believing we were at a dead end when we were at 205 and you didn't accumulate. Now you're repeating the same mistake at 1 cent. See you fools at 10 cents. I dig it. I dig it. Absolutely. We got some videos to get through today, guys. Check this out. Michael Saylor, podcast host, gets visibly upset when Michael Saylor describes why Bitcoin will beat all stocks. Let's pay close attention to this woman here and how she gets upset at Michael Saylor.
Bitcoin's doubling the Magnificent Seven. So in terms of what is Bitcoin the answer? Yeah, sure. If you want to beat the S&P index, you need something better than a typical good company. A well-run company will at best keep up with monetary inflation. You need a monstrous digital monopoly like the Magnificent Seven to outdo it. But the greatest digital monopoly in the world, Trish, is the digital monopoly of money. I mean, the greatest digital network in the world is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is Facebook for money, right? It's Google for money. If all the smart, rich people in the world decide that they want to store their money in a bank in cyberspace that will never be debased and hold it for the next 100 years, right? Isn't that the best investment by definition? Because every other company has some kind of crack in its armor, some kind of attack surface. All the other companies get taxed. They have employees, they have headquarters, they get hit with tariffs and fines and et cetera. So find me a big tech monopoly that is global, that sells a product that everybody wants, nobody can stop.
It's you.
And
it's
nobody
MSTR.
understands. No, it's Bitcoin, Trish.
Well, Bitcoin.
Here's the thing, guys. How can you disagree with a man, okay? How can you disagree with a man whose company's stock went from $1 billion in 2019 to what is it now? 40, I think it's 40 or $52 billion today, simply because they added Bitcoin to their balance sheets that they continue to dollar cost average over the last few years. How do you stand there with a straight face and disagree with a man who turned his stock price from $1 billion to, let's say, $42 billion in a handful of years? How do you sit there and argue with him and think that he's not right? People like that, they have their minds closed, and they care more about being right than they do about the truth, right? And the fact of the matter is, Michael Saylor has been right all along, whether people like Bitcoin or not, right? So if this man achieved this in such a short a period of time, for me personally, I'm an open-minded person. I would start to think I need to open my mind to this, because look what this man did with his stock price value, his stock value. Like, how do you argue with it? The proof is in the pudding. It is what it is. Michael Saylor has been right when it comes to Bitcoin all along. Haters gonna hate, ain'ters gonna ain't. Bitcoin Magazine says Donald Trump's running mate JD Vance owns between $250,000 and $500,000 in Bitcoin. So do you want a vice president who actually hodls? That's the question you got to answer for yourself, I suppose, because I am not American. So Dr. Jeff Ross gives a Bitcoin price target of $475,000 by Q4 of 2025. Listen up.
So how do you see future Bitcoin cycles develop? Do you believe in diminishing return?
So let's see. How do I say this? I think that the annualized rate of return of Bitcoin does diminish over time, but I don't necessarily think that the peak cycle behavior, like what we saw, the dampened peak back in 2021, I think that was a fluke. So I don't think it's going to continue like that. And I know there's some prominent people over on Twitter X who believe that the cycle peaks are diminishing, and I just disagree with that. I think what happened in 2021 was we were on our way to Bitcoin heading up above 100,000, and I had about 125,000 targeted. And then China did that ban, and they came out of left field, and they literally within a month dropped the hash rate of Bitcoin by about 50% or so. And that was a legitimate exogenous shock to the Bitcoin network that took time to recover from. And all the miners had to relocate in different parts of the world. People had to sell tons of Bitcoin to pay for these kind of things. That was a huge shock. Basically, it's almost like a meteor coming and hitting the earth, and it had to recover from that. Because of that, I think that by the time Bitcoin price started to recover and got back up to about 69,000, By that point, the liquidity cycle was starting to roll over. It was already peaking and was going to roll over. So global M2 was heading over, and people saw that inflation was going to be a concern and the economy was getting a little hot. So they were starting to put the brakes on. And so Bitcoin didn't have a chance to do that long last push, that exponential push higher. So anyways, because of that, I think that was a fluke. And I think people who base too much research off that, I think are going to be wrong they're going to miss some upside potential. They're all selling out at 200K because they think that's the appropriate peak. They have the chance of missing out. I mean, my price target is 475,000 for the fourth quarter of 2025. And that might be low. It could be too high, but it could also be too low. I could see Bitcoin going up to 700,000 or 800,000 or even touching $1 million this cycle before 2025 is over.
Now, he does have a good point, guys, when he talks about China banning Bitcoin mining and the impact that did have in the last cycle on the price of Bitcoin. For sure, he brings up a valid point, and it's a very interesting argument. However, do I think that he's right in his price target, 400? What do you say, 475,000 or something like that, to 700,000 to 800,000 to $1 million? No, too high in my opinion. 200,000. You know, I have to remain with that. I do think Bitcoin eventually will be $1 million, but I do respect and understand and tend to agree with his argument a little bit that maybe Bitcoin would have gone over $100,000 had it not been for China banning Bitcoin mining in the last cycle. 50% is a very, very impactful for price appreciation. So a very interesting argument, guys, for sure. For sure. What's Gare Bear up to these days? SEC Gov charges JP Morgan Securities and JP Morgan Investment Management with $151 million fine for misleading disclosures and fiduciary violations. Very, very interesting. SEC actually did their job. Imagine that. What else do we got? CZ says, I'm the only one who went to jail for this in U.S. history.
Do you think it was a fair sentence? So that's a very subjective one. If you ask opinions from anybody, they all say different things, right? So I think, let me caveat with a couple conditions. So there's a plea agreement, which I agree to. And I'm in part of the plea agreement, I cannot say anything bad about the plea agreement. And I don't intend to. I think, look, you enter into a deal, and that's the deal. Separate from that, there's the sentencing, which I got 4 months for incarceration. And then there was the process going through the prison experience. So in terms of sentencing, the judge has a really tough job, right? So if you ask one side, they will say, it's too lenient. If you ask the other, my side will be like too harsh. I don't care. I don't think about it's fair or not. So I can give you a couple of data points for people to benchmark. For this particular violation, which is a Banking Secrecy Act violation, we didn't register a financial company in the U.S. when we had U.S. users, and we failed to implement an adequate anti-money laundering program. For this particular violation, no one ever went to jail for a single violation, which is my charge. So I'm the only one who went to jail for this in U.S. history. And just 2 weeks ago, there was TD Bank got fined for like $1.8 billion. And when I was reading that, there were cases. I think you described that there were executives taking money to facilitate transactions, and no one was named. Just the company was fined $1.8 billion. But fair or not, that doesn't matter that much. And then the judge also said a bunch of really nice things about me in court. Right? So he said, look, he never seen that many support letters. Seemed like a nice standing guy. But then he said he doesn't have to follow precedent. That's when I knew things were not good. And but then when I got into prison, I found out actually 4 months is a really short sentence. Everyone else there is like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 8 years. They're all in years. But nobody gets a few months of sentence. So from that perspective, I was pretty lucky. So I think in the judge's mind, he treated me very leniently. So again, it's a very subjective opinion. I try not to think about it. I think everyone here will have their own opinions, but I just want to move on. I think it is what it is. I did the time. I addressed it. I I just took it head on, and now I can move on.
Hardened criminal, CZ. He's got a good point, guys. Perspective is everything, right? A couple of months in the slammer might sound like it's crappy, but when you're in there and everyone else is there for 5 years, 4 months don't seem so bad after that, eh? So perspective is absolutely everything, guys. Positive mindset, right? Just in, Metaplanet has been the best performing stock year to date in Japan. We talked about this, guys. So Metaplanet is basically Japan's version of MicroStrategy. They had adopted MicroStrategy's strategy, so to speak, of applying Bitcoin to their balance sheets earlier this year, and as a result, we know that MicroStrategy had outperformed everything: the S&P 500, silver, gold, crypto, everything. MicroStrategy stock outperformed everything. Okay, and now we see Metaplanet here following suit. Metaplanet has been the best performing stock year to date in Japan as a result of putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets. This is going to start to become commonplace, you guys. A lot of companies are paying attention to this right now. We literally have Microsoft voting on it right now, right? What do you think is going to happen when Microsoft starts putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets, guys? It's going to be massive, okay? Massive. I got to write that down because I got to talk about it later. Guys, right? All right, so what else do we have? Check this out. SEC at it again. Gary just can't help himself, making Kamala Harris look like a fool. Immutable SEC Wells notice raises concerns over crypto clarity. All right, so the SEC recently issued Immutable X a Wells notice, something which it felt was premature and not very transparent. Immutable further claims that it was issued with less than 20 words, explaining that the SEC is concerned about the normal process in the issuance of a Wells notice involves an immense amount of dialogue where the company is allowed to make its representations clear. But Immutable feels it was one of those that were blindsided with the notice within hours. Immutable believes this amped up actions coming so close to the US election brings into question issues of timing and political motivations behind the SEC's move. So basically, they're supposed to give a detailed explanation as to why they're issuing a Wells notice, the concerns that they have, and give the point of a Wells notice is to give the company time to review what the SEC has said to them and to either correct what's being done or come up with an argument to the SEC why they're wrong. However, in this Wells notice the SEC has issued to Immutable X, they said they gave them 20 words. 20 words. How are you supposed to break down what you're doing wrong in 20 words with a 20-word Wells notice, right? So basically, the SEC is trying to issue a Wells notice without giving them the opportunity to, argue it in any way, shape, or form, right? That's the latest trick that the SEC is trying to pull on people, right? Oh, okay, so we keep losing our arguments, so we're just going to issue you Wells notices and sue you without giving you a reason why that we're doing that even, right? Right? So you can't defend yourself. Immutable has been staunchly building a decentralized gaming ecosystem since 2018 and isn't showing any signs of backing down. The company emphatically argues that IMX, the native token of the platform, is not a security and sees the SEC's actions as a form of regulatory overreach. Immutable is well capitalized and ready to engage in a robust legal defense for the protection of digital property rights for gamers and developers. Once again, Immutable tries to hammer home that rushed enforcement will hamper innovation on Web3, where clear and reasonable regulatory framework should be defined. So here goes Gary trying to hamper innovation in the United States once again. This man is going to go down in history as one of the worst Americans, treasonous Americans in the history of the United States. While the rest of the world is adopting crypto and Web3 and blockchain technology, Gerber is trying to prevent the United States from keeping up with the rest of the world. This is a major concern. Immutable objects to the Wells notice with the SEC on grounds that this hurried approach from the commission puts fair regulation in jeopardy. Immutable received it mere hours after the initial contact with scant information on what exactly the SEC was concerned with. So they sent them a Wells notice, didn't even tell them what they were concerned with. They further claim that such a move dispensed with the months of discussion common in cases involving Wells notices, which as such raises a question over the intent of the SEC to engage in good faith. Immutable still has faith in the compliance of the IMX token, stating it invites any fair process for regulation, not any rushed action that is not transparent. Immutable, a mission-driven Web3 company, is bound to protect digital rights in the gaming community, following the Wells notice from the SEC, which has alleged inaccuracies for prior investments into IMX. Immutable questions if the agency truly is interested in clarity, despite the regulatory challenge here. Immutable is committed to continuing the infrastructure build-out to onboard billions of gamers into Web3 and calling for a reasonable and fit-for-purpose guidance framework without which the digital gaming industry cannot evolve healthily. So, again, Gary trying to destroy Web3 gaming in the United States. At this point, one has to wonder if someone should be investigating into Gary Gensler's contacts. Is he contacted with some other country who's paying him to do this, to hold back the United States in terms of innovation? Because you have China, you have Russia, you have all of the Dubai, you have all these other countries who are adopting crypto and blockchain and Web3 on a mass scale. And then you have Gary trying to hold the United States back. What is his incentive here? Why is he doing this? It's like he's helping other countries, right? Maybe there needs to be an investigation into what exactly Gary Gensler's motivations are on a personal level, because at this point, it just doesn't make sense. Judges and courts have told him he's wrong and scolded him. Congress has told him he's wrong and scolded him, and yet he persists that he's right and everyone else is wrong. There must be a reason why, because anyone with common sense would be able to say, hey, maybe I'm wrong here. Judges are telling me I'm wrong. Congress is telling me I'm wrong. Who is thick-headed enough to continue down the path and say, no, they're all wrong and I'm right? Bureaucrats. What do we got here? So Ethereum set to rally against Bitcoin soon. Let's look into it, guys. Prominent crypto expert Benjamin Cowan has shared insights suggesting that Ethereum is approaching an important juncture in its downtrend against Bitcoin. During a recent YouTube discussion, Cowan emphasized that Ethereum may soon witness a significant upward movement compared to Bitcoin, drawing upon historical data to support his predictions. Cowan observed that ETH BTC pair typically hits its lowest point 2 to 3 months after breaking through the support level. He believes this bottom is likely imminent, although he refrained from providing an exact timeline for this development. Cowan pointed out that Ethereum is nearing the end of its downtrend, as Bitcoin's market dominance, currently at 60.14%, is expected to change course. He noted that the Ethereum BTC pair has recently declined by 1.58%, reaching a level of 0.036. The outlook for the ETH BTC pair appears promising, with Cowan highlighting several key points. Points are the ETH BTC pair is nearing its bottom, suggesting an upcoming rebound. Bitcoin dominance is likely to reverse, providing room for Ethereum's growth. So with Bitcoin dominance topping, guys, and potentially reversing course, that means that dominance is going to start to flow into the altcoins, starting with Ethereum. Your altcoin season is 9. Market tends to indicate that current shift of the interest from Ethereum to Bitcoin is part of the historical pattern. The developments of the ETH BTC dynamic could lead to a fresh opportunity with the cryptocurrency realm as Ethereum potentially emerges from its current downturn. This will be an essential time for participants to reassess their strategies between these two leading cryptocurrencies. Very, very bullish stuff, guys. All right, what else is on the agenda today? I think this is the best time to invest in Bitcoin, says Matt Hogan.
Look, I think this is the best single time to invest in Bitcoin from a
I just said that.
risk-adjusted perspective. All of the major existential risks of Bitcoin have been washed away. We have an ETF, we have institutions, they are coming into the space. The biggest catalyst is that move of institutional adoption. We're seeing that accelerate. We saw $800 million in ETF flows yesterday alone. This is a tidal wave of institutional assets moving into the space. There's a fixed supply, and from my perspective, that means higher prices. Look, I think
and retail hasn't even gotten here yet, guys. So freaking bullish. You wait till you experience what it's like when retail gets here, the tsunami arrives. What do we got? The Fed will take that into account when they look at all the other indicators talking about the September rate cut meeting.
Welcome back to Squawk Box Futures. Following the jobs report, as you can see, they like what do they like? They like the Fed to cut rates, and it makes it more likely now up 180 on the Dow Jones, NASDAQ up 90. Take a look at Treasuries, which we haven't seen a lot of. Actually, 423 now on the 10-year. We were at 430 for a little while, but 12,000, at least on face value, sounds like it's weak, but we're still at 4.1. So not that much change.
Well, let's dig into this because now to discuss the jobs report, the implications for the Fed, the distinction between those ADP numbers, and today Cleveland Fed president, former Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester, she is now an adjunct professor of finance at University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School, a CNBC contributor as well. Good morning. I'm so curious, as you saw this number across the tape, what was your first reaction?
Well, we expected it to be affected by the hurricanes, and I think that's what we're seeing in that report. We knew it was going to be a mixed read, and there was going to be a lot of noise in it. I was glad to see that the unemployment rate stayed at 4.1, so that gives you some indication that things are not, as weak as that payroll number suggests it was, and that it was affected by some of those hurricane effects. I think Steve before talked about the number of people out of work because the weather was quite high, so I think that's a noisy reading, and I think what the Fed will do is they'll take that into account when they look at all the other indicators that came in since the September meeting.
So when you think about what the Fed's going to do next week, they will do what?
Yeah, to my mind, it's not that hard. I mean, it seems pretty straightforward to cut another 25 basis points. I mean, if you look at all the data that came in since last meeting, it really hasn't changed the baseline narrative, which is, look, inflation has come down quite a bit from its peak. There's more confidence it's going to continue to move down, but we know it's going to move down gradually. We're not at 2%. And if you look at the SEP from September, it takes a couple of years to get all the way back to 2%, but more confidence it is on that downward track. And the unemployment.
Why do her eyebrows look like they're evaporating?
The employment part of the mandate, we know it's moderating, but still the readings are healthy. So what you want to be doing is that the economy normalizes. You want to be making sure that you're normalizing policy so that it stays really well calibrated to that economy. And importantly, you want to make sure that you're always positioning policy so that no matter how the risks manifest themselves, you're able to respond. And I think that's kind of what the narrative was at the last meeting. They did 50 because they were concerned about, I think, the labor market weakness that they saw in some of those readings in the summer. Now, of course, some of that was revised away, but there hasn't really been a big change in sort of what the the baseline view of the economy is. Now, that could change as we get more data going into the winter and early in January, and that's going to be the task of the policymakers to just really analyze.
What do you make of the argument, and we heard this from people like Mark Rowan, who runs Apollo Group. He came out publicly and said there shouldn't be any rate cuts. The economy's doing fine or more than fine.
So that's a short-run focus. I think what the Fed has to be doing is looking at, how's the economy going to fare in 6 months from now, 9 months, 12 months, because that's when the policy that the Fed sets actually has its impact. So I think my view would be that I look at all the data coming in. It really hasn't changed where I think the economy is headed. And so that means that we should be continuing to normalize a bit, but we may, want to be careful about that because there are, risks on both sides. And so I think the downside risks are less than they were in September, but my basic view of the economy hasn't changed that much that I would say pause. Also, I mean, you remember Rosanna Dana? It's like, never mind. Yep. They changed kind of what their view was the last time, right? They came out and said, look, we are more confident inflation is going to get back to 2% in a sustainable way. We see the employment moderating. We want to recalibrate policy to be for that economy. It would be kind of hard to get into my mind, at least, sort of like, okay, you said that in September. Now your whole view of the world has changed based on the data that's come in. Now, sometimes the work can change very quickly, but not based on what we've seen.
Such a contrast in what people think is about to happen here over the next couple of years, guys. We've got half the people like her talking about things normalizing, and then the other half talking about a recession coming in, and a bad one at that. So it's a very, very interesting contrast. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out over the next couple of years, but we are going to get life-changing wealth in this bull run, so it won't affect us to that degree. Speaking of which, you know what really irritates me? Rich people and celebrities coming out and talking about how the economy is not that bad right now. You're rich or a multimillionaire or a billionaire, and you're sitting there telling us that the economy is not that bad. The price of groceries, when the fact that eggs are so expensive, milk is so expensive, bread's so expensive, gas is so expensive, these things don't affect these multimillionaires, right? They don't. It's not affect them if they don't care if eggs go up a couple of bucks. They don't give a crap, right? It affects us. It affects the middle class. It affects the poor. And then they tell us, oh, the economy's fine. What the hell do you know? The economy doesn't affect you. You're a multimillionaire. I hate that shit. While others are selling, BlackRock bought another $319 million in Bitcoin for its ETFs yesterday. Are you paying attention? Check this out. This guy is wacky. Simply Bitcoin. I like this guy. It says MicroStrategy's single massive Bitcoin supply shock.
Let's fucking go, ladies and gentlemen. And it is Bitcoin White Paper Day. And what better way to celebrate than with Bitcoin making its highest monthly close ever, up 14% in October. And would you just look at that? US ETFs purchased 12,418 Bitcoin yesterday, and they're now holding over 1 million coins. They have officially surpassed Satoshi, just as we projected, and faster than the normie mind could comprehend. Now, what's even more bullish is that BlackRock bought 12,000 Bitcoin yesterday and the price didn't even move. Even Magoo is saying it's time to batten down the hatches. And no one is fucking ready. Like, BlackRock buys 12,123 Bitcoin. It doesn't get any more obvious that the supply crunch is real. MOAS is catching on and becoming too obvious to deny. Look at this. Nearly a month of the Bitcoin mining subsidy in a single day taken off the market by a single Bitcoin ETF. Needless to say, this bull run's gonna melt faces. In just 2 weeks, ETFs have bought $6 billion worth of Bitcoin. You think FOMO's kicking in yet? Interesting little thing here from those cucks over at Coinbase, but they're expecting 20% of global GDP to run on crypto. Bitcoin, not crypto. All that other shit's going to zero. But they're comparing it to the rise of e-commerce. Probably nothing. And again, White Paper Day, so it's Halloween. Let's go ahead and look at some history. Look at those numbers, baby. From 20 the cycle to break everything. Well, give me a second because I with a friend, he said it really shouldn't be taxed, and I agree. This is the most bullish garbage day in history. The Trump pump in 2024 is going to be absolutely nuts. Now let's look at this. Bitcoin yardstick today at 72K is priced the same as Bitcoin at 1,700 in 2017 and 13K in 2020. I don't know. Where do you think we go from here? Can you feel that tingling in your nether region right now? Go! Yeah, that's a signal the God candle's coming. All of that is without throwing in this absolutely massive and historic move that MicroStrategy just made. It's time to bring it home. But before we do, look at our likes.
Impressive. Very nice.
Enjoying the show so far? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pap while we take a moment to recognize our sponsors.
The one thing that I don't like is like Bitcoin maxis, they say everything's going to zero except Bitcoin. I don't understand the logic behind this thinking. I don't understand it. It's like they don't know that every single crypto, okay, with the exception of meme coins, has a company. They do something, right? No different than the stock market, right? You've got Microsoft that does things. You've got Apple that does things. You've got, Facebook, Meta that does things, right? They do things. They're companies. They whether it's Web3 gaming or AI development or layer ones or whatever it is, right? They're not all going to go to zero because of Bitcoin. Like, what the hell are you? So tens of thousands of companies are all going to fail because Bitcoin, right? What logic does that come from? I don't understand it. Anyway, you guys understand what I'm saying, right? Like some Web3 gaming company, like Myria or Sandbox or whatever, that does a completely nothing to do with what Bitcoin does, is going to fail and go to zero because Bitcoin. What? Yeah, do you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute, I guess is what I'm saying. Like I don't know. Anyway, let's look at how October closed, guys. As we see, boom, plus 10.76% for October. So we are on course, guys, to where we want to be. An average of 22% to the upside is what October's close at. And then November is juicy Magoosey. What else do we got? Lark Davis says Wall Street has bought $25 billion worth of Bitcoin. Saylor has bought $10 billion. He's buying another 42 in the next 3 years. I don't think people truly realize how early we are.
MicroStrategy wants to raise $42 billion to buy Bitcoin over the next 3 years. Ha! What? Michael Saylor and his gargantuan balls. How's that guy even go through a door or like get on a plane, or like he's got to have like a specially modified car just to like put his balls in the back seat? Like, what is this? This is craziness beyond belief. Now they're currently about $8 or $9 billion in profit, by the way, on their massive Bitcoin stack. They own over 1% of the supply of Bitcoin. But this is insanity and genius at the same time. I love it, but it's insanity. This is wild. They want to raise $42 billion, man, and they're going to buy Bitcoin with it. Oh, the greatest to ever do it. That's wild. I don't even know what to make of that story. It's so nuts. And people are going to be out here trying to short Bitcoin. Well, MicroStrategy is literally going to buy $42 billion worth of it. Well, Wall Street has literally bought $25 billion worth of Bitcoin in the past 8 or 9 months. Man, come on. That's crazy.
I agree, guys. If you're sitting there asking yourself, or if someone is asking themselves, like, is Bitcoin a scam? Is it a good investment? What is it? MicroStrategy's putting another $42 billion into it. Are you crazy? And you're not going to put at least a few $100s, a few $1,000s into it? Unbelievable. Don't feel bad about crypto, guys. The stock market wiped out almost $1 trillion from the U.S. stock market. So do not feel too down. Now, to cheer up you meme coin holders, we have Charles Hoskinson attacking the meme coin community. Check it out.
It's meme coins. They have no value. They never will have value. They will never, ever have value. Stop thinking they will. You degenerates. Grow the hell up.
Never.
You will never make something from nothing. Okay? The prices go up, they go down.
Magic internet money.
And yes, you can have fun with it, and it's gambling at the very best. It's degeneracy at the very least. But what do you expect?
Money.
Honestly, what do you expect?
Lots of money.
What is the outcome of this game? You buy a token, and the token goes up a little bit, and a whole bunch of other people rush in, and the token goes up. And then what happens? People dump on you. That's how that game works.
No, then I dump on people.
It's always worked that way
Right.
for meme coins. Always will work that way for meme coins. Oh, what about the culture? And what about all this other stuff? And what about this? There's no culture behind somebody taking a picture of me and turning it into a meme coin for the purposes of a pump and dump. It's degen's going to degen.
It's funny.
And then what I pointed out, you then take it as a buy signal? How stupid are you? Honestly.
Co-partner.
I don't endorse meme coins, but we all know that these things have no value. There's no utility behind them. Nobody wants them. When they lose their luster, they go to zero.
Here's the problem, real quick. The market, as much as Charles wants it to be, is not driven by utility tokens right now. It's just not. Do I think that it should? Yes, 100% I do. But it's not. So deal with it, right?
And it's a useful idiot, the greater idiot theory. It's what it is. That's how meme coins operate. And the reason why meme coins have any popularity right now is people are bored in the bear market. We've gone through 3 years of a bear market, brutal, evil bear market. It's been horrible.
That's true, and it's not true, because meme coins were just as popular in the peak of the last bull run as they have been through this entire bear market.
And so people got to do something with all this crypto wealth that they have. So they move water from one side of the bathtub to the other side of the bathtub in one great casino. And some people get very lucky and they create a meme coin that goes to the moon, and then it collapses and they move on to the next thing. And one after another, after another, after another, after another. Why do you expect it to be any different at all? Honestly, why do you?
Because meme coins. That's why, right? When moon. Come on. What are you talking about, Charles? Oh, Charles coping because someone made a meme coin about him. Onyx Coin, the public Onyx protocol Zeely is now live. Guys, join, climb the leaderboard, and win prizes. Contribute to the growth of the Onyx protocol. More incentivization to the Onyx community. Absolutely bullish, guys. Absolutely bullish. Gary is at it again. We just talked about Gary. He's still going. SEC cost crypto firms $426 million under Gensler's Blockchain Association. The Blockchain Association, a cryptocurrency and blockchain advocacy group, reported that the U.S. SEC has cost companies at least $426 million in litigation involving digital assets since Gary Gensler took over as chair. In an October 31st update to its regulation by enforcement page, the Blockchain Association reported that the SEC has brought 104 cases against crypto industry from 2021 to 2023. According to the association, self-reported data by BA member companies, a small slice of the industry suggests that the crypto firms have spent $426 million in defense litigation against the regulator. The industry and the American voter is ready for a change and a fair shot, says BA. The time of lawfare against our industry must end. That begins with the change in leadership at the SEC. Many industry advocates and U.S. lawyers have criticized the SEC chair for regulation by enforcement approach to crypto since assuming leadership in 2021. Under Gensler, the commission has filed enforcement actions against Binance, Ripple, Coinbase, and several other firms. The BA claimed on X that in addition to the money, Gensler's anti-innovation crypto crusade resulted in an immersible loss of jobs, innovation, and U.S. tech investment. The organization and its CEO, Kristen Smith, called on crypto users to support a change in leadership at the SEC. The X post did not specifically mention which political candidate the organization or Smith would support in the 2024 election for the SEC change of leadership. Republican Donald Trump claimed he would fire Gary Gensler on day one if elected, while reports suggest Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris was considering possibly replacing the chair of the SEC. So do you want to vote for someone who for sure will get rid of Gary Gensler, or for someone who will think about getting rid of Gary Gensler? Crypto is an up-for-grabs election issue with the power to sway voters. No party currently owns the issue, but voters say that they're more likely to support and back candidates who support innovation and digital asset space, said the BA. Crypto voters make up 18% of the I'm tongue-tied, voters, okay, and are even more winnable on this issue. Early voting is still underway in many U.S. states. The election day on November 5th, as of October, many polls showed Vice President Harris favored to win the popular vote, but the Electoral College race was effectively a toss-up between the Democratic candidate and Trump. So it will be very, very interesting to see what happens. But Gary Gensler costing crypto industry faithfuls a whole crap ton of money. He has to go, period. All right, Tony Edwards doing some TA. Caleb Franzen, founder of Cumic Analytics, discusses a bullish indicator flashing on the Bitcoin chart. Check it out.
So, guys, I want to start with this chart first and foremost because this signal is literally flashing as of yesterday. And so this is fresh alpha. You're not going to get this anywhere else. What we're looking at here is the super trend indicator for Bitcoin using a 10-length ATR. This is the default setting, and the 7-factor for this other input here. And so why am I using 7? There's 7 days in a week. So this is basically a weekly measurement, if you will. And so what we're seeing for the first time now in several months is a green bullish signal taking place. And so I thought to myself, hey, what happened to Bitcoin the last few times this happened? Within the next 90 days after the signal flashed, we've been up at least 60% within 3 months. So 60% within 3 months. If we look at the second signal here, which flashed in late October of last year, we gained 145% in 142 trading days.
Oh, yeah.
So again, I don't even care if we get these same results. Positive results are positive results. Bullish signals are bullish signals. So I'm not coming on here saying we are going to gain 60% in the next 90 days. I don't know. This could be a failed signal. It's a statistical probability. Right? That's all we're trying to assess. And so signals can fail. No indicator's perfect.
Very nice. Very nice. I will take 60% in the next 3 months. Abso-freaking-lutely. All right, let's go back over to the Jasmy chart. All right, guys, let's get into the chat a little bit here, see what you guys are talking about. Let me scroll back up to the top here. As always, guys, make sure you're hitting the like and subscribe to the channel. Got to help the channel get to 6,600 subs. William, my main man, first one in the chat. Good to see you, brother. Bruno, good afternoon. Sun is hot. Says hit the like button on your way in and out. Absolutely, brother. Boomer's in the house. Good to see you, brother, as always. David, hey guys, keep the faith. Absolutely. Richie Rich, Rob, Boomer, and Crypto Family. Absolutely. Sunazan says Gary at this point is just throwing everything at crypto before his time in office is done because he knows him and the Lib Dems are on borrowed time. He just trying to cause as much disruption. Yeah, I would agree. He's trying to do as much damage as he can before he gets fired. Gary at this point is just throwing, yes, absolutely. Gary is stuck in a bubble, living in the past. He's living in his own little world. Squirt Reynolds in the house. Swift took a dump, but I'm on the teeter-tottering on the edge of buying more. Well, a lot of people just kind of took profits combined with the fact that Bitcoin kind of pulled it down a little bit there, right? So, I mean, it is what it is, you know. What I'm enjoying right now is seeing these projects show people what they're going to be able to do when things start to go truly parabolic. Liquidity, what's up, man? Looking good, peeps. Labor market data came in and it wasn't terrible, whether manipulated or not. Now we wait, see who wins the election, but no matter what the outcome, we're going either way. Absolutely. Parabolic, baby. Parabolic based on historical data. Feel like ETH rallies this month. Even in 2020, ETH was doing not too good. Yeah, I agree with you, Liquidity. I agree with you there. Beebs, my man. Gary needs to get rugged. Exactly. Rickaroo in the house. What's up, buddy? Good to see you guys, man. Good to see you guys here. Guys, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button if you're new here. We'd love to have you stick around. Join the family. Welcome in to the show. That's the news this morning, guys. I got to get out of here. I got some things to do. I will be back for the daily close. We will be live streaming that at 7 p.m. Central tonight. Make sure you're here for that. Guys, jump over to the Patreon. If you want to chat with me one-on-one about crypto, guys, you need help, you need guidance, whether it's your portfolio structure, when you should be taking profits, how you should be taking profits, self-custody, taxes, or anything else that you need, book a one-on-one coaching call with me, guys. A Zoom call you. We chat for an hour, one-on-one. Get in, get your spot booked over on the Patreon. The link's down below. We also do group video calls every single day. Join us there. Again, a lot of people there chatting. A lot of people's questions get answered. There is a wealth of knowledge. We have a variety of people from veterans to rookies over in our community on the Patreon. So get over there, guys. Join the conversation. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys at 7 p.m. Central.